I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business is our student report. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful day.
The past 2 months have been full of activities at the mountain. With the school year coming to an end, students are eagerly awaiting summer vacation. There have been many athletic accomplishments across all sports. Mason Thibodeau recently received first place at CBC's for shot put and discus, and was also nominated for Keene Sentinel Player of the Week. Devin Cheney pitched a no-hitter for baseball a few weeks ago, and was also nominated for Keene Sentinel Player of the Week. The French and Spanish clubs hosted a soccer game during team time. Students from both clubs participated and stood on the sidelines cheering, as well as any other student who wished to watch the match. Mr. Wilkes has been hosting an ongoing softball tournament during team time. Students have formed teams and compete against each other in slow pitch softball. The winning student team will face off against the teachers on field day. May has been a very active month for students. The Fall Mountain Education Endowment Association held a 5K for community members and students to participate in. The money raised from this event is used to promote excellence and opportunity in local schools and programs which are beyond the scope of their budgets. This month has been full of fun events like the senior art show and prom. Tonight, seniors are displaying their pieces that they have created throughout high school in the cafeteria. Prom was put on at Allison's Orchard by the class of 2027 and was a huge success.
On May 8th, the Fall Mountain French Honor Society inducted 4 new members. Junior River Bailey, sophomores Luciana Baca and Addie Fuller, and freshman Aislinn White were all accepted into the society. Madame Paul and other French Honor Society members led the induction ceremony for family members and friends to watch. The Fall Mountain Band and Choir recently had their spring concert, which went amazing. Students challenged themselves with difficult and fast-paced songs, and the choir even sang in French. Thanks to Mr. Dion and Mrs. Lane, the concert was a great success. The band is now preparing for their Memorial Day performance. Over April break, students part of the Spanish program traveled to Panama, where they spent the week exploring. They got to visit a pineapple farm, the Panama Canal, and go ziplining. This was a great way for students to immerse themselves in a different culture to learn more about the language. The end of the school year is approaching, which means students have begun studying for their final exams and seniors have been preparing for their graduation. We wish them luck and know they will all go on to do great things.
All right, well, thank you very much. That's a lot. And so the synopsis, there's a lot to come in the next few months, so I hope we do get to hear from you in June, despite the fact that I'm sure you will both be very, very busy. So looking forward to that. Does anybody have any questions for our student representatives?
Just nice job with all the accomplishments. Thank you for that thing.
All right, thank you. You're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the May 12th public and non-public session meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or concerns, changes with those minutes?
One, yes. The motion to approve treasurer's report, we have Vogel and Vogel.
Okay, I'll go back and research that.
Other than that, no.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, with that change made, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you very much. New business, can I have a motion to approve the personnel list?
So moved.
In a second,
Second.
any questions?
These are all non-union employees, which means their contracts renewed by April 15th or sooner, correct?
That would be the case.
Okay, so is this approved raises? Is this?
No.
What
That's
is
not the case. We have not issued non-union contracts. We're working with them tonight. So we'll be issuing non-union contracts tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
We haven't
sorry.
issued them yet.
Sorry.
That's fine. We have an issue.
There's 3 sets of them. So
But anybody who wasn't gonna be staying with us would have been notified by
Yeah.
April 15th. or
yeah,
sooner,
absolutely.
Depending upon the terms of their individual contract.
Yes.
So this is a housekeeping matter.
Yes.
Problem.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you. The next order of business is the non-union contracts. Is there anything you would like to add before that?
Pretty straightforward.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the non-union contract, please?
So
All right, are there any questions or concerns with that long list?
I do have questions. For, just for one person,
The ones we're not
There-
mentioning,
right,
okay,
they're broken up into different area schools. And it doesn't come out to 1.0. Want me to show you?
is it something we can talk about?
but that's not.
It's a public list.
Right, yeah,
It's not necessarily a 1.0 position.
Is it
Well-
less than or more than?
It's less than.
could be part-time.
It could be part-time.
Yeah, I'm not sure though. I can show you if you want.
I think that it is, it's less than 9,000, I don't need to show them. It's 45. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
So can you just clarify for us why that would be?
School year employee, right, or part-time, yeah.
That works?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the list? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? No, thank you. All right, and then we are here today to discuss the current North Walpole plan. This is a workshop discussion, so it is fairly open, so Chris would like to start. Do you want to offer anything more to?
So I guess what I will say to the board is I shared a lot of information. As you know, this is in response to the default budget in which some of these decisions were made. The information I shared just kind of shows the research that's kind of gone into what steps we have taken. A lot of that is outlined within the folder that I shared with you. Tonight is really discussion because the goal of tonight is to walk away with the beginnings of a plan. It is a 2-year plan that outlines our intended purpose of the building with the understanding that that plan can change over the 2-year period, depending on what information we gather and what decisions are made. So if the board makes the decision that we put a cap, I will say, like if we need to look at a sprinkler system for that building, that may far exceed the use or the intended use or the benefits of moving. And as a result, we may look at a different option. So that's the type stuff that the information that I shared is intended to promote not only conversation, but ask questions. We may not be able to answer them all tonight, but to create a timeline of what is the priorities of that building as we move forward and are remaining with our intent that as of right now, we would be moving there at some point, and that needs to be discussed or revamped as we move forward within our plan. And it was discussed in the plan of creating like 3 check-ins, maybe even 4, that additional information would be gathered. We continue to get information. It comes in slowly. As we meet with the towns and meet with legal and meet with other entities within our principals or admin team, additional questions come up and we're bringing that and trying to either solve those problems or have a discussion on what should be the next steps to be able to best make a decision on the direction that we go.
At this point, I do want to express gratitude to the town of Langdon. Was it only last week?
It was last.
Chris, myself, and Krista met with the select board at their meeting. They very graciously had a conversation with us, understood where we were coming from, and are willing to allow us to continue moving forward as we are now, without changing any part of that agreement. As we develop this 2-year plan, They understand that we are working with them. They've got, a few requirements that they've asked us, like to move some storage, some items out of a storage space, that kind of thing, that we're more than happy to do. And so what they've asked us to do is to rescind the letter that we sent. And that is, what we're willing to do unless somebody here has a concern with it. I don't need a motion to do so. So unless somebody wants to raise a concern, we will simply go forward with that, and rescind that with our gratitude to the select board and the citizens of Langdon.
Makes sense.
Any questions about that? All right. We're happy to rescind that. Thank you. All right, so
So I guess what it comes down to is that was shared with the board. There was a lot of information shared with the board. What came to mind, what questions still need to be answered? And what direction are we going to, including a timeline? Please understand that this plan needs to be, we're gonna workshop it today, have discussions. Probably bring it back one additional time, and then it does need to be final draft before June 30th. So we can send it off this date. It's approved by the board and then sent off to the state. So that is kind of our timeline. We want to provide that to everybody, but this is the forum to be able to have those discussions and those questions answered. If we have that.
I think there's been a lot of work done, which I appreciate. I'm sure the rest of the board appreciates as well. You had the public forum. Seemed to be supported by the parents, that part is good. Does anybody have any other thoughts they want to bring up about what happens in the next 2 years?
I just, but I like your thoroughness on the plan. And I like how you separated, created the different, important categories. Under category B, projected facility needs and upgrades. Do you think, is there any chance to have more estimates for those areas like the electrical technology, the sprinkler system to go in this plan?
Yep, and I think we're waiting for those for a number of different reasons, but it is a busy time of year for some of the contractors. And we want to definitely do our due diligence. I guess what it comes down to, from our point of view is, there's going to have to be, right now, as it stands, we cannot just move into the location without certain, pieces being addressed. And right now, the one that is most of value to us is our life safety codes requiring maybe requiring a sprinkler. So that is what we have been spending a lot of our time getting information regarding. And I know the town of Walpole would like to have that same information so that we can have that conversation of what it would look like in the building needs for those codes as we move forward. So.
I had a question, so it's, I haven't ever been to it, so I understand it's a pretty big area, there's a lot of room there. Has there been any thought to, and maybe I read through it, so hopefully I didn't miss it, so the district will be there, and then, and special education will move with it. Has there been any thought to having like, and before and after school program there as a revenue stream?
That's why we're here.
Okay.
That's the type of conversations that we need to have. Because it's about 13,000 square feet. And there is quite a bit of room. As you look at the plan that is going to be outlined as we move forward, it's broken up into a professional development center. You want to call it that, / board room, board meeting room, to be able to have better acoustical sounds for our board meetings. So that was one of the things that was discussed. What was brought up from the community was the accessibility to the playground, which was addressed in the plan, and also accessibility to the gym, which is part of the plan. So we are taking feedback and trying to incorporate that into our plan, but that is an area that if the board chooses to investigate that, then we would look into what that could possibly look like and put a timeline on things.
I think the plan's a good one within its focus.
Mhm.
What I'd like to see before we move forward with it is to look at other possible alternatives. Now, I'll rattle off some alternatives.
Okay,
Number one, of course, self-build. It's assessed for about $2.1 million. It's not to say it would bring that, but it'd be interesting to at least approach a commercial real estate broker and see what possibilities exist. Number two, if not sell the building, lease the building. Probably producing far more in lease revenue than you're paying Langdon. Which means the lease money could be used to pay, you know, for leasing in Langdon doesn't become such a big deal anymore. Possibly talking with well, I won't say charter school, because I'll get everybody upset, but talking with an out-of-district placement provider who could potentially put a program in there and be able to bring back some of our students. Again, it's saving an awful lot of money relative to the $13,000 we're paying for rent. And some of those students could also be from the other area, you know, from Bellows Falls and from, you know, our district and anywhere else. We would not be the operator of the program. We would just be the landlord, nothing more. Also the possibility, it's just a thought. If handicap accessibility is an issue in Langdon, could we move the second floor to North Walpole and still save maybe half the building for one of these other purposes? How important is it to have special ed in close proximity to the people on the second floor? I know we had that in Charlestown many years ago. Same setup, except the special ed was downstairs, but the interaction between the two was very minimal. You know, they came and went through their own doors, and there really wasn't a whole lot of contact. And given the age of technology now with communications, I wouldn't think that would be a huge problem. So if we're trying to solve the handicap accessibility problem, that's a possibility. Of course, you have to talk to Langdon about reducing the lease accordingly. The other thing that bothered me a little bit is, while I'm not just, we should be concerned about the handicap accessibility, but had the budget passed, we would not be talking about this now, correct? What was the plan for the handicap accessibility? We wouldn't be moving out. Do we have any money in the budget to deal with the handicap accessibility issue? No. So it kind of feels like the handicap accessibility issue is being used, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but it's being used as, you know, we need to do this because, except it wouldn't have happened if the budget passed. So that sits a little not well with me, if you will. But I think we should just explore the other possibilities first. It's not to say I'm opposed to putting the central office there. But then maybe you may be able to lease a more appropriate space with all the modifications with the proceeds of a lease from this building. You just have to think in a little bit more of a business-like fashion and not, you know, so just throwing it out.
I think those are good suggestions to break down for
Yeah.
sure. Did you want to address that before we might?
I just wanted to address the two things. One, as a past special education director, I felt like it was very, and I don't know how Xander feels, but I felt for myself that it was very important for me to be in the same building as the rest of the administration. So that when I had a question, I could easily ask that question, when we were building budgets, when we were when I needed access to the business administrator right away, I had that without any problem at all. At one point they were looking at moving the special ed office in Springfield over to the high school, and I really pushed against it, with the same ideas that, well, you know, you don't come down here that often, but you know, those kinds of things. But at that point we were upstairs and they were in a different part of the building, but, then so that's just my little 2 cents on special education, but.
I'm just gonna say that I'm pretty flexible, so I could make it work either way. I like getting out and about, so if we weren't together, I have no problem going over and meeting with them. So just to be fair, I'm flexible, so I make it work either way.
Then, just in terms of the handicap accessibility, that's been a bone of contention for me for years. We've never done anything about it, but it's been a bone of contention for me for years. So it isn't like I'm just bringing it up, you know, I've been the one that has pushed that. And I'm not just bringing it up right now, but with this right now, because we're, you know, as a reason why. I've been talking about it for years, and, people got kind of sick of me hearing me talk about it, but, the discussion has been for years that when North Walpole School was closed as a school, the central office would move there. And so it just seemed like it was a logical thing to start to work on, since we were moving the kids out. So, and we moved the kids out. It was pushed because of the budget not passing, all of those things. But my idea was that it was moving the central office into a district-owned building. And that was, you know, we had always talked about it. And so it just seemed like it was a natural flow that we would start talking about it now. So, your other ideas are, I don't think we'll get that much money for it if we try to sell it, but, I think your other ideas are valid. I ran base, so I think that having a program in district for our kids that would be we had many less out of district kids because of base. And that was a good thing. I left and it couldn't keep on going without me, so. But I think that is a thing to think about, so.
The amount of money we could conceivably save in tuition,
Oh, yeah,
and I'm not talking about residential placements, obviously, can't do that.
Right.
I'm talking about the lower end,
Yeah.
The kids that maybe we don't even get any reimbursement from the state on, because it doesn't meet the 3.5 threshold. There's a lot of money to be saved there, conceivably, if we can dramatically lower the cost of those, just transportation alone, because they're here, but not having to send them somewhere else. It's just things to think about, not to just immediately run to, oh, let's repurpose a building that wasn't really intended to be a central office, and then modify it in such a way that it can be, including, of course, the sprinkler issue. And at the risk of being lynched by some of my community members, that ball field's pretty big. If you were to sell the building, you could conceivably build an appropriate central office on the ball field with the proceeds of the building sale.
I don't know as though you could build a building for $2 million.
I don't know.
I don't think you're gonna get.
And I don't think you're gonna get that built, Alex, that's another discussion. But I do think you could lease appropriate space with the proceeds of the lease of the building.
And there are options around that's
Right.
certainly worth discussing. So would this board like to see this leadership team approach an agent and at least find out what those options are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to skill that type of structure.
I think what we're looking from you is direction, 2 or 3 avenues to go down, because we can't go down 50 different avenues. But 2 or 3 solid avenues to go down to research and to be able to report back to continue to have those discussions.
I'm fairly certain that sale or lease is on everybody's list as an option, at least to understand what our options are. And so if somebody, whoever you determine on your team, could approach an agent, hopefully from the area, and find out what that capacity would be, it would be good to know for the next, the final, well, not necessarily the final draft. Perhaps we could discuss it at the June 8th meeting. And if it makes sense, we can add it to the draft that we finalize on the 22nd.
So what we can do with the draft is we can put in dates of like, we want information from a Realtor September 1st. Like, we can go that far out if we so choose. Because some of this information, which I'm learning quite quickly is not always as easy as it is. I would have hoped to be able to get, so, being able to have those check-ins is important, and the more information we have, the better decision we can make. So I heard one, any other avenues to?
What, Xandra, maybe some input on the idea of, the out-of-district placements with the provider.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. We can look into, what I heard you guys saying is not necessarily a program that we're running. It might be a program that's accessing the space. So we could definitely reach out. I don't necessarily, I can't tell you today how easy that is to just reach out to somebody and say, are you willing to open a program here? But we can definitely start reaching out, making those connections and get you guys some information. And get you some information too on what I think would be the best age group to focus on, because you're not gonna focus on all the age groups or not.
Don't rule out move a program.
Say that one again,
Don't rule out moving an existing program,
moving a program.
as opposed to starting a program.
And
They may be a
Sandra,
leased facility, and this may be in a more appropriate.
Oh, I see you're saying like another program and where else may be looking for. If you know something,
No.
you know. Don't hide out, just tell me what you're thinking. Yeah.
Sandra, when we ran base, we did have, we had a elementary classroom.
Mhm.
And we had a middle school classroom and we had a high school classroom. And it actually worked, for quite a few years when I was running.
So I feel good
It ran
about the
very
program.
well.
I just want to let you know, the programs we currently have, I feel really good about.
Yeah.
So we have the continuum of our life skill programs that are working really well. We have a middle school program for students with some behavioral needs. We've been looking at high school level. But that's what I'm saying, if I'm talking to other agencies, I need to get a feel from them too, so, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I could definitely explore that option, doesn't hurt.
Are there places like, I know we get a lot of information from New Hampshire School Boards Association, but are there associations that might have a list of facility of organizations looking for space?
I definitely will reach out and ask, yeah, I'll reach out to the region and see what's out there. Yeah,
And not only can we earn lease income, I think the bigger issue is could we reduce our out-of-district placement costs? To some extent.
let me get you guys, I don't wanna, I like to have data.
And
Let me
I'm
get you
not
some
talking
data, come
about
back.
fewer students. I'm talking about students that can be serviced here.
Yeah.
It's certainly.
And Sandra, I'd be happy to help you, help you work with you on
Sure.
that, if you wanted.
Yeah.
So we can set up a time to meet. And we
Yeah.
can
I can come
kind
up
of
to that.
divvy up tasks. And
Okay, sounds great, thanks.
One more thought in conjunction with the central office from home. We're about to vacate the early learning center.
Mhm.
It's in close proximity to the last, say, 4 classrooms on the end of that wing. Student population here is well below what it used to be. Could we conceivably grab some classrooms from there? They're already sprinkled, so that's not an issue. And use those classrooms in conjunction with the early learning center to solve the central office problem.
What we need to think about. We're thinking out of the box, you know?
That's why this type of workshop's
Right.
important.
Exactly.
I think one other piece that I came up with at one point is, because we are looking at the facility in Langdon, what would it take to make it ADA compliant? Which it may be another area to explore a little bit. Of course, there is gonna be a cost associated with that, but at the same time, if that is a area that meets our needs currently, do we explore that?
Oh, I would really like it if you
In-
explored that.
In
This has been
in
a,
conjunction with the plan, it wouldn't be in the plan, but as another data point.
And we do know that Langdon is willing to work with us for those kind of things.
as someone who spent a few years in a wheelchair. That has always been a bone of contention for me. I'm like, what would I have done when I was in my chair? I, you know. I wouldn't have been able to go upstairs.
Any other avenues
Unless
the
I was having a
board
good day.
would like to share?
So revenue generating, I know we've talked about it a bunch of times, but really, and Steve didn't want to get lynched for it, but I'll say, we should see what. About potentially a charter school moving in there. What would that revenue generate? What would that look like? What would it look like?
So do we know if there's different, does the state require different lease structures for buildings for charter schools? Or is this something that it's an open market, whatever the lease of the going rate?
I don't know if I have that answer. It depends on when the charter schools started. So I don't know what the current situation is now. I know that there was some structures when they first started charter schools. And that's what I was used to, so I don't know if I have that.
Well, I know that when they closed the Surrey school, the same kinds of real huge concerns from the community, they were closing their community school, all of those things, and that's, we're hearing that from North Walpole. There may be a group in North Walpole that would want to put together a North Walpole charter school, so.
It seems like it could be feasible to bring people from across the river, might come, students. So just see what it would look like. That's all we're asking.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing, moving forward, we'd like to know what the value is from a real estate agent, what it might take to list it. That same real estate agent, I imagine, could tell us what the going lease rates are for the area. It would be good to know if there are any requirements for charter schools, if they get a special lease rate or something of the sort, so we'd like to have that brought back. And then to know if there's any alternative programs or charter schools in the state or region that are looking for space. It would be good to know if we might fit their needs as well. Does that seem like appropriate information? Does anybody have anything else they'd like to have come back for our next meeting or two?
Do we have we have enough space in Walpole and Houston for our pre-K, right? But we're turning kids away in Charlestown?
I think it's, is there a waiting list?
There is a waiting list. Having been principal in that school for a number of years, we've had a waiting list in the past. Sometimes there's very few times that we have not been able to accommodate all the students. That when they register, it's vastly different saying that they're interested in the program versus registering for the program. So now that it is 3 and 4 year olds, we need to reassess that because the data is going to change in regards to those numbers. And I think that's why you're seeing a little bit larger waiting list in the Charlestown attendance area.
I'm just thinking that the one classroom that's to the left of the gym, that's not part of the corridor cluster, could conceivably be used to provide Charlestown with one more classroom. And maybe the children in the south end of Charlestown would go there, the children maybe in central and northern Charlestown would still stay at the primary.
Not outside the realm of possibility. We also have to consider that the North Charlestown Community School is in the process of becoming a childcare center. And so there will be open opportunities within that region. So that may take off some of the pressure as well. So all of those options are on the table. I just want to make sure we know that we have other options in the area coming. Do you have something more?
I was just gonna, pre-K required or not required? Just
Pre-K is not technically required unless they are coming in identified.
Kindergarten is still not required in the state, I don't believe.
Kindergarten. I haven't looked lately, so I'm not even gonna speak to it.
I know that every March, there are still districts in the state of New Hampshire looking to add kindergarten to their district, so.
I believe half days required still is what the RSA says, but please do not quote me.
All right.
so. I'm just trying to understand, your submission date is June 30th? You want to have a final on June 22nd? We do need to, at some point, come full circle on the motion on March 23rd. Because we still have an open motion of moving. We need to at least amend it with some dialogue.
I want to be clear, we do not have an open motion. We made a motion
Yeah.
and we voted on it.
Right.
And that is the motion. It hasn't changed.
Well, my vernacular, which I'll apologize for, it don't mean it's open. We still are anticipating a move. Where yet we should just, the motion really should be to study the move. Because it sounds like this is, it just puts, it's a gray area. So we should actually make it more of an amendment, that it's a plan, a study for the SAU to move to North Walpole. March 23rd's motion doesn't read like that, and I can't read it off the top of my head, but it read it before.
So what I would counter with that is that the motion should stand, but maybe be amended to the sense of developing the plan, which we are outlining currently, is to move and have a timeline to that. The plan is over 2 years. But if we do not have a plan in place, the building can be considered vacant.
Right.
And that would trigger an RSA associated with that. So the plan is what needs to be in place for us to be able to access and develop as we move forward our next steps. So being able to develop that plan and vet it as we move forward is the most important. But if you were to rescind the whole motion, it would.
It's not rescinding it, we should close the loop and amend it, because it looks to me that that's what we're doing, is dedicating it to the move, where we're really studying this thing, and we may or may not do it, so we should at least have appropriate language amended.
I think what I would like to see is, that is the motion that we have decided. It is what the current plan that we have in front of us talks about. We're looking at alternatives. I believe if we come back on June 8th and we have additional information and we make a different decision, at that time, we rescind the motion and make a new one. Because at this point, we are still gathering information to what that building looks like if we move. The plan is still what it looks like to put the SAU in that building.
Whether we do it now or do it later, I'd prefer to just. My opinion would be to do it now. We just reword the emotion and be done with it. And that way we can meet our obligations to meet the plan on June 30th, but yet as a district, we're still studying something over the next 2 years. It's just developing or studying what, I agree with what Chris's language said. What's that?
I was just saying to Alyssa that I don't see it. I don't see a problem with doing that now or doing it later. I mean, what we're doing is studying. So do we need to somebody just say, I want to amend the.
Do you want it rescinded and changed?
No, I think we just
I'm not
amend it.
looking to rescind it, just amend it with some specific words, develop, study, something.
Can I ask, Misty, can I ask you a question? Can we, something that has already passed, can we amend something that already has been passed? Like the motion was made and passed, can we now amend it?
No, but one of the 5 people who voted
My
for
only
it.
concern with amending it at this point, specific legal guidance is how it triggers the next steps of the RSA. The plan is to move, you're developing the 2-year plan to do that while also looking at these other things. So if you're asking my opinion.
I'm asking your
you are.
opinion, I am.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what's in place right now. I agree, and I think we can get some guidance and some counsel on what the next step would be. My only concern with amending it right now is how it what affects the plan, the RSA and the 2-year plan that we have in place. The plan is to move. Within that plan, we can have these timelines on investigating what our options are, but right now that's the plan because it's the purpose of the 2-year plan, to not have an unused facility, to not trigger those things. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's the right one or the wrong one, but that's my opinion. I don't have enough information to say how it's going to affect that next step.
Can I just, I know Chris has said that that initial vote on March 23rd, he misunderstood. He thought it was to go forward to study it. I think that's where right?
Yeah.
That's where he's having this issue with it. But, and I think maybe the other concern is, how are we communicating to the public about what we're really doing? You know, because in the public's eye, maybe it looks like we're moving. But I understand what you're saying. We have to have a plan and that we work on over 2 years. We have deadlines, state requirements that we have to meet. So this is our plan at this time.
And when
Right.
you
Which can
finalize your
change.
plan, on the 22nd, that's a public document that's circulated to the public. That's how they'll know kind of what our benchmarks are.
So maybe, I don't know if we can word something maybe in the minutes to say there is still, the district is still looking into this and developing the plan as to what will happen with that facility once the students move out.
I mean, as long as we're satisfied that this is really a study, in my opinion, it's, we're not dead set on moving the SAU to North Walpole until we get all of this information.
I think that's why we're having this discussion, is to bring those forward. I think it's understood right now that we are looking at all the options.
So essentially what we're doing, and I know we're planning and all that, we're protecting it so we can decide how we want to move forward, because if we don't do that, then we don't get the choice.
Exactly.
Your choices would be limited. And I think because we have at least we have 2 more meetings, what I would like to propose is not having this discussion.
Okay.
But asking legal exactly what needs to be brought forward, so that we are not jeopardizing anything related to the building and the RSA associated with that. Just because there has been a motion made and approved. So we will bring that back at our next board meeting to clarify.
I go back to the kindergarten question. I looked it up. Kindergarten is not required in New Hampshire. The state law mandates that all public school districts offer at least part-time kindergarten attendance is strictly optional for families. So we have to have at least all districts have to have a halftime, at least a halftime offering. But you don't have to send your kid if you don't want to.
That is my interpretation of it too, the half-day program.
Is that clear?
It is. I ate a lot of paste during that period.
And that's why you are like you are now.
A lot of other reasons, but yes.
Very sticky.
That's part.
So
All right.
what I'll do is we'll update the plan based on our conversations and kind of make some timelines. And get that legal advice on specifically regarding motion for our next meeting.
That makes sense.
All right, that's all I have to bring back to the next meeting. I look forward to hopefully having some answers. Hopefully these are a little bit easier to come by than quotes for services like all of the things.
Sandra's thing is not so easy, but.
Yeah, there's people looking or there isn't, so.
Want some subcommittee help?
Won't take any help right now, so I'll definitely reach out.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Sorry, I'll ask Alyssa and then it will go through you, the right proper chance. Is more build out cost coming if available? Did you say that? If they become available? Okay.
That's what's taking a little bit.
Yep.
Bit longer. As
I think
referenced, it's a really busy season, you know how construction seasons work.
that on top of discussions around the code and asbestos is the other thing that we are
Gotcha.
currently navigating, I will say. There is quite a bit of asbestos in that building.
Darn asbestos.
So
Asbestos been haunting us for all time.
it's in a lot of our buildings, so.
Yeah.
It's not as.
The time period they were built in.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't touch it, you're okay. But once you start doing that and you've got the dust, then
Oh, right, right.
That was the reasoning for carpets years ago, which I hate carpets, but
same.
it was encapsulation. Which was cheaper than the needed.
And not even. worth
That's
much.
right, not a good one.
No, not a good one.
All right, so is there any other topic that anybody would like to bring up regarding central office? Seeing none, everybody here is comfortable with next steps? All right, at this time, I would like to invite Ann Shaughnessy by her request.
I have a petition that was signed by about 85 people in North Walpole to please reconsider and have a hearing regarding the closing of the school.
Thank you. Did you want to read this into the minutes?
I can read it into the minutes, or you can read it into the minutes.
Would you like me to? I'm happy to.
I think it's interesting that you're going back and looking at all of this with a discussion, but you're not looking at the North Walpole School being closed, and you said that it was discussed, has been being discussed. And I can't find that in the minutes at all for the last year and a half.
That, I believe, came through the Walpole administrative report.
Sure.
And those are not public, those are not, that information is not open to the public.
Those documents are public documents.
We already had this conversation in that meeting.
In what meeting?
In the meeting last week. You were there.
So the site-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
No, you there.
Please forgive.
Those minutes are posted. There's 1 minute posted. And in fact, your minutes aren't being posted either.
They are. They are being posted.
Online,
Yes.
where all the other minutes are?
Where the school board minutes are,
Yes.
the school board minutes are being posted once they're approved, yes.
I'm talking. There what? I
I
can't find them since, I think it was April.
Yeah.
Well,
We've just approved the May 12th meeting minutes here tonight. So
April
those
will be the last
posted.
ones that are posted.
April is the last one that's posted.
And what does the RSA say about when they're supposed to be posted?
They're posted upon approval. They're available within 72 hours by request.
So 5 days.
That's non-public.
5 days. And it's not a posting requirement, it's an accessibility requirement, so within 5 days of the meeting, if you were to call, they're available for inspection. But the district does not post draft minutes.
And is the district using the worksheet for non-public?
What,
The worksheet?
what worksheet?
We do not use the worksheet. We follow the worksheets. I mean, are you talking about the
You follow the
the
worksheet?
form? Are you talking about the form where you check off what you're going in for?
And the way the minutes are written?
The minutes are written legally. We post why we're going into non-public session.
And you're supposed to also take minutes on what's discussed in the meeting.
You're supposed to take minutes on any motion that is, a motion is recorded. And we historically do not take motions in non-public session. We take them in public session for transparency purposes.
There's supposed to be meeting minutes for the non-public part of the session.
There are meeting minutes for the non-public session.
And it's supposed to record the discussion. And they can be sealed in public session.
Yes. Correct.
I didn't see it.
If there's a vote taken in public session.
Correct. That's correct.
And so you're recording the discussion. Because the ones that I got that were non-public, the discussion was not recorded.
So the requirements for minutes are to record why you're going into what the discussion entails, not necessarily verbatim, but what it is. So your non-public minutes say if we've discussed a personnel item or a contractual item. And then if there's any motion that's taken, that would happen in public session.
Okay.
You're welcome to contact NHSBA for best
I have.
practice. Okay.
I have.
I read it too.
The petition as presented by Ann Shaughnessy at this meeting reads, North Walpole School proposed closure. Our beloved community school, a cornerstone of education and unity in our neighborhood, is facing imminent closure by the school district authorities. This decision not only disrupts the lives of children, but also dismantles a pillar of our community that has served generations of families. In recent times, the importance of local schools is providing stable educational environments and fostering community spirit cannot be underestimated. Schools like ours offer more than just education. They are safe havens where children grow, learn, and develop into responsible citizens. The decision to close such an institution is not only short-sighted, but fails to consider the long-term repercussions on both students and the community at large. The proposed closure will force students to travel longer distances to different schools, increasing travel time and expense for families. Furthermore, our school is more than just an academic institution. It is the heart of our community where local events, clubs, and sports teams gather to create memories and build lifelong friendships. Closing it down will be a loss that extends beyond the classroom and into the social fabric of our neighborhood. We understand the budgetary pressures faced by the school district, but we firmly believe that closing our school is not the solution. Instead, we propose an open dialogue with district leaders to explore alternative solutions that can address financial concerns without sacrificing our school. We urge you to stand with us in this fight to keep our school open. Please sign this petition to show your support and help us ensure that future generations can continue to benefit from the unique and vibrant education our community school offers. Together, we can make a difference and uphold the value that these learning institutions bring to our community.
So we'd like to have an open forum on the discussion of it. Of whether it should be closed. Because your minutes do not reflect that a discussion happened.
This discussion has been over many, many years of what the trends are in population in our region, what the trends are as best for students, as well as the teachers and staff. We have explored a lot of opportunities that have gone through so many other of our communities. This is one of those topics that was brought to us by the administrators in Walpole. We can find, there are minutes from their site-based meetings, and those can be found.
Found in public.
Those. I don't know where they are.
We actually. One of the select women discussed that they're actually not public minutes. They have them in a folder in the school. That's not considered public access.
Well, they're also-
for them anytime.
They're also not a governing body.
Right.
Right.
I was gonna say site-based,
Right.
it's not a government.
They're not a governing body, so it
Right.
really needs to be through the school board.
Okay. This is a decision made, our articles of agreement allow us to make these decisions. We have a leadership team that looks at the best interest of students, the best interest of our staff, and they make these decisions with input from the administrators in that building.
And when the administrators are making those decisions, did they look at any of the scores for the state testing or anything? To see, is it a successful school? Is the next step when they go back there, is that successful? Is that a better situation?
It's the same students in a different building.
The decision's been made.
It's the same students in a different building. I
It
don't-
is,
I don't know why the scores would change one way or the other.
but they do. So you
Because,
might want to look at that.
because
Why would they change? And
Why did the scores change?
what do you mean, did they change?
They dropped over time. They go from third grade, which is the first grade that they test, to fourth grade, and then fifth grade to Walpole, and the scores drop. Almost every year.
We haven't changed what the makeup of the classrooms is. We haven't changed anything. Current Walpole students, all students are in the same building for second, third, and fourth grade. They are moving, the teachers are moving with them.
When they move to fifth grade, those scores drop.
That is not regarding the North Walpole School. What does that isn't affecting the movement of second, third, and fourth graders from Walpole, North Walpole School.
So you're moving them to a school
same
that's
campus.
less successful.
But the same teachers,
Yeah.
we're just, the same teachers, everything the same. It's just gonna be in a different building. The building doesn't change their scores.
So now you have second grade to eighth grade in that building.
We have-
And you have fifth to eighth grade, and the fifth graders are not being successful. And
There's-
by the way, the eighth graders are not being successful either, if you look at those.
That is an entirely different concern than whether they are in the North Walpole building or whether they are in the Walpole Elementary School building or whether they are in any other building in the district. We are not changing anything for these students. We are not combining classes. We are not combining attendance areas. The bus, instead of dropping children off in North Walpole, will drop them off on the campus with the Walpole Elementary School and the primary school. These students, instead of moving from kindergarten and first grade in one place to North Walpole for second, third, and fourth, and then moving back to the other campus for fifth through eighth, they will now start their career on one campus and they will continue on that campus and grow through eighth grade.
So
That is the goal.
So why didn't they just leave them back in the day when they moved them? Do you know why they moved them? And what the rationale was to put those students in the North Walpole School?
Assimilation.
And no, it was for them to have their own, to have a smaller environment, and it would be better for their education. That was why they were moved. I was just speaking to a board member from that time. That was the rationale at the time.
So
And now the rationale has changed.
So- No,
19 I'm sorry, who do we?
What was that?
Oh, we have
Jamie's online.
Nice to have you.
Sorry, I'm late. I had a situation to deal with. May I speak for one moment?
Please do.
So I believe Mr. Varone was at that meeting, and I was at that meeting in the North Walpole School when the conversation and public hearing was held about moving the children, merging the children from first to eighth with the other children in the primary and the elementary school in Walpole. It was a very heated discussion. You can go back and read the minutes. Because a lot of folks from Walpole proper did not want their children having to be bused all the way to North Walpole. And so the initial reason for the change being made was due to economies of scale, because the sizes of the classes were shrinking. Okay, and so the decision was made that if we merge the ones together, the twos together, the threes together, the fours together, that all the students would be learning the same content at the same time, and that B, it was more cost efficient and effective to have, one teacher teaching 16 children than two teachers teaching 8 or 9 or 10. And so those were two of the main reasons why that change took place. And I am a North Walpole resident, and I was at the meeting. Thank you.
And so now now that's changed.
The consolidation that happened at that time is moving with those students. They are simply moving from 3 buildings to 2.
Correct. So it's the same type of situation where the sizes of the classes within the building itself are shrinking, so they don't need as many different rooms. And so it's economies of scale and efficiencies with running buildings, quite frankly. I mean, you know, we're shrinking and we've continued to shrink. And consolidation has been discussed since, oh my God, since Fenn was here, Jim Fenn.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
So, and the class sizes are getting smaller, so we're now able to, instead of having to pay, the district having to pay for 3 schools, we can serve the same number, we can serve the kids in 2 schools rather than in 3 schools. And it brings the kids all onto one campus, so they're not switching back and forth and needing to have sports teams that are moving between and everything else. They're all in one place. And so that one of the things, and we have talked about that we have a plethora of buildings in this district, and the buildings are incredibly expensive. We have continuous requests from the taxpayers to reduce taxes. And we cannot, reducing staff is very difficult because, and that's where a huge amount of our money goes. We are looking at class sizes and seeing about ways of being able to reduce staff by increasing class sizes. That's another thing we're looking at. But if we can reduce the number of buildings we have that we're having to pay for those buildings in terms of paying for all of the things that go along with kids being in those buildings, that's going to be a cost saving for the district.
And the cost savings is, again, we asked that in the meeting, how much is it actually saving when you're adding up all the costs? Because what we're not hearing is what the true costs are. Because now we're hearing, well, they need to lower the urinals. Well, they need to do this in that building. They need to do this in that building. So what really, I mean, I'd really like to see the breakdown of what is the savings.
Depends how it gets repurposed.
What?
Depends how it gets repurposed, if it gets repurposed at all. For instance, if it gets sold, we're no longer heating the building, insuring the building, repairing the building, snow plowing the building.
So what is the current savings? Well, so then why don't we leave the kids there for the 2 years, and when you figure it out, then move on? You're jumping with, well, we're saving this money, but then, oh, we're not.
They're 2 different issues.
It is
One
different
is
issues.
closing the school and the other is what becomes of that. They're 2 different issues.
But you packed them together with your savings. How much money are you actually saving?
A little over $100,000, I believe, was what we cut from the budget.
But you don't know.
150, no, we know.
$117,000.
Last time I asked, it was 115,000, and that had to do with 2 salaries.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're going to tell me now that we're going to have 3 more grades in Walpole, and they're not gonna need secretarial support.
No, there's
The
sufficient.
secretarial support is already in that building.
Right.
The nursing is already in that building. The administration is already in that building. The services are already in that building. Custodial, property maintenance, all of that is already in that building.
So you're not gonna need any more secretarial.
No.
No.
Okay, we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
You have 75 more students in that building now. And you're not gonna need more secretarial.
Well, so in the past, we've had that number of kids in those buildings.
And so with
the secretarial staff that we have now, so yes, the
and so when
secretary will
it
be
dipped
okay.
down, you didn't get rid of some people?
We'll do it on Walpole.
That is something we are working on. It is absolutely something where populations have changed and we have not kept up with such things. And now we are remedying that by making this the right sized school with the right size number of staff. It is a process that we've been working on. That is what people have been asking for. And we can solve this at this time by putting those students in that building, streamlining transportation, streamlining services, providing the need for the needs of those students faster than we were before. And you can't necessarily put a dollar amount on that. This is good for students. It is good for our staff.
That's exactly what was said previously, moving them to North Walpole. This is good for the students.
At that time, that was. At that time, with the number of students that were in the North Walpole schools at that time, that was the most efficient use of the space. At that time, the population has continued to shrink.
We do know that in 2003 and 4, we had the highest population this district has had. Is that correct? And we have been declining since.
Decent population, the peak was 99,200.
Okay.
2,202 students. That included no tuition students in high school. That included no pre-K program. Now we're at a little less than 1,400, and 100 of those students are either imports from other districts or pre-K. And I love pre-K. I'm not suggesting we would ever get rid of pre-K. But if you want to talk about apples to apples, 2,200 students versus approximately 1,300 students. We are not the district we used to be, and we have not adjusted accordingly. And if we were a business, quite frankly, we'd be out of business. You cannot keep this many buildings open and expect to compete if in fact we had to compete. Everyone spends less money than us. Westport, Chesterfield, Marlborough, Keene, Winchester, Hinsdale, they're all spending less money per student than we are because quite frankly, we are operationally inefficient.
I agree with that.
18 years ago, we had one of the lowest costs per student in the area. Now we have almost, the only one that's higher, I think, is Condell.
I agree with you being very inefficient. And the stuff that I'm hearing from Walpole is completely for organizational skills.
When you have 12 children in a classroom, 13 children in a classroom, yeah, sure, it's better for education, but it's very costly, not just in terms of staff, but in terms of buildings, space, number of classrooms you need, et cetera, et cetera. The inability to consolidate because you're spreading them out too thin among the classrooms. 13 or 14 is better than 20 or 21, but it's not a third better, and it takes a third more staff. It's not going to produce a student whose test scores are a third higher. It's just not realistic.
It shouldn't be producing students whose test scores drop either.
We're seeing that all over the state. We also see it from 3rd to 6th to, is it 9th to 10th grade we test it?
9th grade drop.
3, 6, 9?
Yes, because they switch
We
schools.
constantly see that drop, 3rd grade to 6th grade to 9th grade. It's been that way for years. Some of that I think is because the students get older and know that, you know, I don't care. You know, 3rd grader can be made to believe that this is important and he'll do his best, but as they get older, they're a little less inclined. We've seen tests come in where the kid just, you know, multiple choice, A, or A, B, C, D, you know. Unfortunately, that's what they do when it reflects in the test scores. So personally, I don't
And
think.
that's a reflection of poor monitoring.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Can I ask a question? Are there about iReady scores? Like, are those the scores we're talking about, like looking into? Or is it like standardized testing?
I think it is 11th grade. You must have just taken these tests.
11th grade, it's SATs.
Yeah, so just like as a student, I can speak, there are a large number of students who do not try those tests. I mean, like we're put into rooms with your advisory and I think I was the only person in that room who tried. So I think some of the scores that you're seeing is just that, or that students are putting in because as you get older, a lot of students tend to care less because they don't care about going to college, so those tests don't matter. So I think that's also part of the reason why they're dropping.
Thank you, Madeline.
May I ask you one more question,
Yes,
This
please,
is-
Jamie.
Jamie? So this is in a petition form?
It is with signatures. 92 is what you said?
Okay,
At least
All right.
50.
okay, thank you. I was just curious. Thank you very much.
Were
Okay,
you on when I read it?
yeah, I read it in the
It's in our-
folder, I believe. Yes, and I was on when you read it. I got on about 6:15, 6:18. So, thank you.
So that it's not going to
Thank-
go to a public hearing, so for discussion, the
I think
people
we need to discuss it as a board.
in non-public,
No, we are
No,
here
we're
discussing this
here-
right
we're
now.
discussing it right now.
I open it up to the board. Is there any discussion any questions, concerns, thoughts?
I have no objection to having a forum in the North Walpole gym. Whoever comes, comes. It just has to be with the understanding that, you know, this is still the governing body. We'll take the input we get. We'll think about it. But, you know, even if there's an overwhelming support there to keep the school open, which you might think there would be because it's their community, we still have to be thinking about the larger decision. 11,000 people in the
The
school.
movement of these students part of, was it May 12th?
So we had a public information night. The moving of that was discussed, and that's all that was discussed. You were actually at that meeting. So
Yeah, we've had that forum.
We have.
we viewed that as a public information session, not a hearing per se, because it doesn't fall under hearing guidelines.
Right.
But that what the intent of that was to listen, bring back information, but also to, you guys are the governing board that makes those decisions, so it ultimately comes down to, based on the information you have and the articles of agreement and all the other, our job is to provide the information to you and for you guys to make that ultimate decision, and that's what was decided back in March.
So we've had a public forum.
We had a public information night, correct?
So we did that.
That was a school public forum. It wasn't warned to the towns. It was warned to the school population.
It was not a school board meeting.
Correct.
It was the community's opportunity to come out and have conversation. They were heard by the administrators. If there was other concerns, they were brought to us. And at this point, the overwhelming sense that we have gotten back is that the teachers and the staff and the parents support this move.
You're not hearing from the public. You're hearing from a very specific and small group.
We are hearing from the people who have children affected,
Well, they've signed that petition.
and they very well may.
Yeah.
But the decision has been made unless somebody on this board wants to do something to change that. My vote would not be to change that. I believe this is best for students. I believe this is best for our staff. I believe it is best for transportation, for services, so many of the other things that we've already talked about this evening. We have seen this work well in Charlestown. We have consolidated from 3 schools to 2 there. It works very, very well. Is there anybody who would disagree or have something that they would like to bring up?
I think you just have to look at the neighboring towns. Westbourne, K-8, one building. Chesterfield, K-8, one building. Marlborough, same thing. Winchester, same thing. Hinsdale, same campus, but K-8, one campus. You
This
know,
is one
it
campus.
this is how most school districts function. If that didn't work well, all those children would be getting a lousy education, and I don't believe that.
So, was it 3 years ago, there was a warrant article voted on by the taxpayers to be able to
Yes, selectively close.
selectively,
And
Close
North
schools.
Walpole was one.
North Walpole's one.
North Charlestown and North Walpole were the two that
Yeah.
were
Okay, that was 3 years ago.
stricken through for,
Right.
correct. That was Article 6, I believe.
But because North Charlestown was owned by a trust, we didn't have to
Right.
get into the whole building issue because we didn't control it.
Right.
It wasn't built with tax dollars, not 120 years ago and not 30 years ago. It's all donated money.
And is it fair to say,
I don't believe the North Walpole School was built with tax dollars either.
The
I
war,
believe it was donated
It was.
to the building.
By the village of North Walpole.
The village of North Walpole is a governing body. It's a, And we found that the transfer documents from
I have-
1966.
I have a book that it was donated.
It was, you have the transfer from when?
1966 when it transferred to the school district.
Yes, when it transferred to the school district. It was built in 1958. But
Unless I'm mistaken.
the North Charlestown School was a very different kind of a situation. The Ackworth School was originally, before the district was formed, the Ackworth School was owned by Ackworth or owned by the was that now? The Alstead, by the Alstead Act, Langdon, by that group, I'm not sure. But it was owned in it by a different entity. When the district was formed, the deed was transferred over to the district. The deed was transferred over. I mean, I don't know when the Ackworth School
All
was
the
built.
exception is the Farwell School.
The only exception was the Farwell School, which was the North Charlestown School.
Which in
We did not have the deed to that building. The district, this Fall Mountain Regional School District has the deed to the North Walpole School.
Right.
It's a very different situation than the North Charlestown.
You have that deed, and is there connections to that deed? Is there stipulations to that deed?
There are none.
There are none.
The only thing I found in the deed that caused me to scratch my head a little bit was a reference to Walpole School District number 2. Which was a little intriguing.
Well, because North Walpole was not part of the Walpole School District when that school was built.
Prior to 1966, I know the high school kids went to Bellows Falls.
They did. And our parents put up a real big stink because they didn't want us to go to Fall Mountain.
They were ordered by the state of New Hampshire to go to Fall Mountain and not cross the border into Vermont.
Even though it was closer.
So it was a
sent them.
school district within itself.
Yeah.
North Walpole was.
But it hasn't been, but now it's not.
No, because when the state stepped in and made the.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's where we are now. Where we are now is, it is part of the Walpole attendance area, which is part of Fall Mountain Regional School District. Just like Ackworth, at one point, Ackworth had like 20 schools. But way back in the day, Ackworth now has a school. It is part of, the Ackworth kids used to go to high school at the Alstead High School, which is Violet's. Now that all is part of Fall Mountain. And Ackworth is we're looking at the same thing around the Ackworth School and the Sarah Porter School. And, we're looking at all of these. And it happens that this is and we already have done the North Charlestown School. Right now, we're looking at the North Walpole School. It's a very difficult thing. I understand, because I don't want the Ackworth School to be closed, but I also understand the situation that we all are in. And I've had conversations with the Ackworth Select Board around, do know that this is something that we're going to be talking about at some
But that
point.
decision was reversed, and this one isn't going to be.
No, it's not.
And the other thing is you just said that you had conversations. Nobody had any conversations with the North Walpole people. We were at a village meeting the night before, and we told them, and we came to the school board meeting. And they had no idea that you had closed the school.
That you were, voted to close.
Voted to close the school. So can't pick and choose who you want to speak to, because North Walpole is a town.
In our articles of agreement, we have 5 attendance areas.
Okay,
We have Charlestown, we have Alstead, we have Ackworth, Langdon, and Walpole. We do not have 7. We do not have those 5 plus North Walpole and North Charlestown.
but you didn't even tell any, you could have said something to Walpole and they could have said something to North Walpole. They had no idea. It affects our taxes.
We understand that there is some process that we can do better. We have said that throughout this whole process. What happened when that budget failed in March is that we came under a default budget and some changes had to be made. It is not ideal. It is not how we wanted to go forward, but it is where we're at. It is a discussion that has been had over the past several years, and we will put together some documents and I will get them to you, Anne. Those discussions have been had, and this came the opportunity to do so, which is best for those students and best for the staff and best for the district. That is what we voted for, and you are welcome to disagree, but that is the information we had at hand to make that decision. Yes, we would love an extra year to make all of these decisions. But this is where we are at right now. We had to meet a default budget, and this decision was best for students, for staff, and for the district.
So. Of course you go with the default budget, I understand that, so you didn't have a plan previous, like you just assumed that the budget was gonna pass? Or was the discussion about closing the North Walpole School, did it happen before the budget was voted down?
There was no, in March of this year, as we were developing this budget, there was no discussion that if a default went into, if we went into default, that this is what we were going to do. That happens when we are faced with that situation.
So you don't plan ahead in case the budget doesn't pass?
That is not what I just said. There are very difficult decisions that have to be made, and those decisions are all on the table as the budget is being made back in September, October. They know that there's going to be difficult things, and some of them are things we don't want to do. And I want to reiterate that this particular year, we had an increase of $800,000 in our health insurance that we took care of. We also cut $1.6 million in addition to that $800,000 from the budget that we needed to do the very best work we can for our students. It was across the board, hard work, tough decisions, negotiations, and it was not an easy decision. Nobody wanted to have to go to a default budget where we had to cut another $500,000. This is not where we wanted to be. We would like another year to have these discussions so that we could consolidate in other ways. But this decision was because it is best for students, it is best for our staff, and it is best for this district under the scenario we were in.
I'd also like to have information about the actual numbers of money you're going to save.
Okay.
Separate from anything going into the North Walpole School.
So simply the part that helped us meet the default budget, is that what
Yes.
you're asking for? We have that information.
Didn't.
We have had that information from the default budget discussion.
I have it. Send some data.
All right, well, I very much appreciate the work you did on this, and thank you for being involved. At this time, we are going to open up for public comment. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
Yes, Rick Grace. I'd like to address quite a few things here. First is communication, okay? It seems we have no problem hearing you when you want to direct something out to us, but we can't hear again here. Been asked multiple times, speakers, some way to hear you, some way to, especially you, Chair. You raise and lower your voice as you deem necessary so that people can hear you clearly and not clearly. I watched you yell at some of these board members to speak up when we can hear them, but we can't hear you. Other people have come to these meetings and asked, what is the plan so that we can hear what's going on? We can hear you on the computers. We can hear when Jamie talks to us through that speaker. Why can't we hear the members of this board and the members of this administration when they're speaking in a public forum? Okay, that's number one. And then we've addressed it multiple times since it's been coming here in March. Number two, again, communication. Emails on your website. I go to email Mr. Barone. Who do I get? Steve Chase. Okay, I go to email.
I'm sorry.
Who is Steve Chase?
I don't know, he was sitting there with you the other day when maybe his name isn't Steve, Chase, something Chase or Case or something, I don't know.
Chad Street, maybe?
Chad, okay, yep, okay,
Yeah, he held the seat.
you all understand the situation, same with our Langdon rep. Okay, we get Keith when we go to email. Okay, simple things, simple things that should be easy communication are failing. Just completely failed. We can't even correspond with our members because the website, we can't find information on your website. And you told me personally, oh, well, you have no problem finding it. You don't have to look for it. Well, we have to look for it. We have to scroll through this stuff multiple times looking for information to try and figure out what's going on. April 8th minutes. You all voted unanimously to move the recognition of visitors and public comments up so that the board could hear from the people in the community that came here to talk to the board members, move it up. You haven't done that. Even today, it's down here at the end. So we sit through everything. We listen to you vote, make decisions, make choices, do things, and vote without input from the people out here. They come here to speak. We can't sit there on the computer and speak. So we have to come here. And you voted unanimously to move that up.
I'll address that. Because that was at that meeting. It is not something we do at every single meeting. We do have a non-public on here. And we left it at this place because we thought you'd want to hear the conversation and be able to respond to us. So that is all I'm going to say about
that. Was going to be moved up so that people could hear and talk to their representatives prior to it. Okay, again, minutes written the way that you want the minutes to read. It was written so that the public comment, people could hear from the public first and not sit through all of this. Okay, and last, I watched you on the March 23rd meeting bully some of these members into making that decision and voting on that when they thought that they were voting on more information from that. And I watched you tear that apart and pick and argue. I watched you argue with the board members here on a vote to get them to vote the way you wanted it to. I watched that. So I think a Charlestown rep here has a good idea. That needs to go back and be revisited because the way it's written is you've already agreed to close and move all your stuff and do all your stuff. You already agreed to it. And the fact that you won't even entertain a comment from them, and the way we feel the same way, the minutes are written so that you've already made that decision, and then you wait 6-7 months, go back, we made that way back then. We made that decision already. And that's what we're getting into now. Nobody has the information readily available to them. Okay, this is our forum. When we come here to the school board, it's our forum for our elected officials to hear from us prior to them making decisions. Because we certainly can't email them. We tried to email them and it goes to former members. Couldn't even get the first month, we couldn't even get the phone numbers in there. Or their names in there. You know, there's a lot of information and a lot of decisions been made on a deliberative session numbers that were completely inaccurate, completely incorrect. Votes were taken on that. And I'll say, just like I said back on the 23rd, we don't trust the numbers and we don't trust the administration. And I can tell you that this board and administration has got some real problems. I think the biggest question we should be asking ourselves, why? Why are our numbers dropping? Why are our kids not wanting to go here to public schools? Why do the parents not trust the public school system? Why do we have children jumping off bridges and killing themselves? Why do we have bullying going on in our schools?
We're not going to go to
Okay,
that place.
why do we have teachers that are moving, parents that are moving children because their children are being bullied by teachers? Why do we have the problems that we have in our schools?
If you would like to take one of those things, you can send an email and we can take it up under non-public, but that is not something for this.
We've got problems in the school district and it starts right here with this administration and this board. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question?
Of me, yes.
Thank you. That was Mr. Briggs speaking?
It was?
Okay, I didn't hear. Where is Mr. Briggs from? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
Langdon, New Hampshire.
Thank you, Mr. Briggs. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Briggs, I'm looking at the Fall Mountain website right now. And the Fall Mountain website has the correct emails listed in it.
So it does have the correct.
Click on it.
If you click on it.
Yes,
Click on it, it
yes,
goes to
yes,
different
yes, you're
I
not wrong.
can't hear you. We can't hear it.
You're not wrong. And I've just addressed it with IT. However, the email address that is on there is correct. It does not link properly, which we will address. But the email address that is listed there is the correct email address.
So the technology that you expect us to use, click and go, is broken, and it's broken in multiple places. You know, and one more thing while we're at this, you know, I came here on the 23rd, and my daughter goes to school here, and it used to be that her attendance was tracked very regularly because she has a problem with she's with her mom getting to school on time, getting picked up on time. Once I left here on that 23rd meeting, that stopped getting reported. I had to call the school back and say, why have you stopped doing this? So one of the things that has kept me out of, you know, dealing with this school stuff is I don't wanna see stuff taken out of my daughter. Okay, and I've seen it happen in the past, and other parents have seen it happen as well.
Okay, is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
Just one quick clarification. I found the numbers. The North Walpole closure was $117,600. That's just staffing and busing, and it doesn't take into account possible office savings.
And it doesn't take into account any of the changes that have been needed to be made in the Walpole School to accommodate those students. So I want to know what the actual savings is.
Okay, point of order. This is Jamie.
Thank you. Yep, I'm sorry, is anybody else who hasn't spoken like to speak? Okay, thank you. We do not have a non-public. Under additional information, the administrative reports were in your file. If there's any questions or concerns on that, please. Email the administrator, we have 2 upcoming meetings. Graduation, scholarship night is June 4th. It's a great night to come, and June 6th, graduation. And I would like a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Jamie?
Teague says yes.
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 Thank you.